The upcoming 2022 offseason is going to be very interesting, especially for the Lakers. With the Lakers right now just not living up to expectation, they're not as good as we thought they would be. Despite them struggling right now, they're still going to try to be competitive even next season, as they still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis both locked for the next 2 seasons at least. But when going into this offseason, you would think the Lakers would blow it up and kind of rebuild. But we just got some news, a big report, that the Lakers' current team is probably going to be the roster next year too. To go into specifics, I'm talking about the players that are currently on contract, and of course these players are LeBron, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and Talen Horton-Tucker. The reason why this report is kind of shocking is because during this year's NBA trade deadline, the Lakers were heavily trying to trade away Russell Westbrook and Talen Horton-Tucker. So the question now is, why would the Lakers keep them going into next year? Because this season, this core just isn't that good. But of course, the truth is there's more to it than meets the eye. Brian Windhorst says this: "That's some of the phrasing I've heard. Let's not make a change to make a change. Let's make a change when we know it's going to make us a lot better." And I've even heard the phrasing, "This is probably going to be the roster next year too." Of course, talking about the Lakers and a potential conversation he had with Rob Pelinka. The report continues and says, "Now obviously the minimum contract guys will change, but I think this is what they've got. There was a couple of weird signals I've seen since that. I don't think LeBron's been in a situation where he just gets told no, flat out very often. I believe what he means by this is that maybe LeBron tried to revamp and change the roster, but maybe Rob Pelinka is telling LeBron to just hold it in a little bit longer because maybe next year they're going to be better." So for this video, I want to be talking about this, the future of the Lakers in this upcoming offseason. Who are the perfect players they should sign to surround Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis? I believe 100% with Russell Westbrook going to be on a $45 million deal next season, player option, he's going to opt in and stay with the Lakers as he doesn't want to throw away all that money. So if you're a big Lakers fan and are super interested in their future, you're going to love this. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a very special episode of Easy Buckets. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Soom and I make basketball videos every single day. So of course, be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications to not miss any of my upcoming videos. If you watched this video and you loved it, be sure to smash that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate it. It would help out the channel a lot. But without wasting any more time, let's talk about the Lakers free agents in this upcoming offseason. Before getting into my list, I want to quickly say this, that I just mentioned what Brian Windhorst said about the minimum contract guys will change. And of course, with the Lakers not having a lot of available cap space, the players on this list has to be willing to take a veteran's minimum deal. They're maxed out with LeBron, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis. They already have THT on their mid-level exception and Kendrick Nunn also on a $5 million deal. So of course, money is super tight. So of course, the players on listing today has to take the veteran's minimum deal or else they ain't coming. But the first free agent is going to be Dennis Schroeder, currently of the Houston Rockets. He got traded from the Boston Celtics to the Rockets, and there is belief he's going to become a buyout candidate, get waived by the Rockets. But even though into the summer, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent, which means Dennis can go wherever he wants. What's very special about Dennis going to the Lakers is simply because he was on the Lakers last season. He was a part of their potential championship run and was still a part of their best defensive team in the league. He knows the playbook of Frank Vogel, played with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But I believe Dennis Schroeder coming in once again, he wouldn't be the starting point guard, he would be the six-man point guard behind Russell Westbrook. And I believe right now the Lakers need that, someone off the bench to simply support Russell Westbrook when he just can't get it going. As of right now, I believe Dennis Schroeder is at that point in his career where he wants to prove himself once again. Last year, the Lakers were going to offer him a 4-year, $85 million deal. This season before that, he was a 6th Man of the Year candidate in OKC, but ever since leaving the Lakers and going to the Celtics and now the Rockets, Dennis Schroeder's career has kind of taken a big downhill to now being one of the more minimal role players. But I still believe with him being young, he still has potential to earn a big contract. With the Lakers having such a huge fan base, of course going back to LA would shock the world and of course get Laker fans interested, which would raise the stock of Dennis Schroeder. Maybe sign a 1-year veterans minimum deal, play the greatest basketball again as a 6th man, just like you did in OKC, and then of course in the following offseason potentially get paid as you wanted to this past offseason. I believe 100% Dennis has what it takes to being a good starting caliber guard. But of course, I do believe also winning championships and raising your stock is important as well. And honestly, he built that reputation with the Lakers and he can definitely do it again. But of course, he'd have to take a sacrifice pay cut of a 1-year minimum deal and of course back up Russell Westbrook. During this year's NBA trade deadline, the Lakers actually tried trading for Dennis Schroeder, where the Boston Celtics actually ended up rejecting it. So of course, it shows that Rob Pelinka and even LeBron James has interest in bringing Dennis the Menace back. And with Dennis being one of the better, cheaper point guards in this upcoming summer, I do believe the Lakers are going to target him and should. The next player on this list is Serge Ibaka right now of the Milwaukee Bucks. Serge Ibaka got traded from the Clippers to the Bucks during this year's NBA trade deadline, and the reason why he got traded is because he's going to be a UFA this summer. And if he has any interest on going back to LA, the Lakers should welcome him with open arms. A fun fact to note is that ever since the Raptors won the NBA championship with Serge on the roster, Serge Ibaka's stock in the NBA increased tremendously to being known as one of the better frontcourt players that can 1. Space the floor, 2. Be a great interior defender offensively and defensively, and 3. Being a locker room presence and leader. And with the Lakers having interest in Serge Ibaka before, I do believe now it's the perfect time, as Serge Ibaka has been dealing with a back injury, hasn't been as good as he used to be on the Raptors, so of course with that being said, he needs a new opportunity. During this year, the Lakers have definitely struggled, especially at the frontcourt center position. And the biggest need for the Lakers is that whoever ends up playing the center position and they move Anthony Davis to the power forward, they have to be able to space the floor, but also be a great shot blocker, which is why Miles Turner is heavily being linked to the Lakers. But of course, with Miles Turner being very expensive, I believe Serge Ibaka is a great cheap alternative at the veterans minimum deal. Serge Ibaka is great on those hook shots, but I would even love it more to see him and Russell Westbrook and even LeBron have some beautiful pick and rolls. The next free agent on this list is talking about Hassan Whiteside. And listen up, Hassan Whiteside, if the Lakers want more of a straight up interior defender, one of the better shot blockers in the NBA at a cheap rate, Whiteside is your man. So far this season, Hassan Whiteside is playing for the Utah Jazz, backing up Rudy Gobert. But even though he's coming off the bench for Rudy Gobert, he's still getting a lot of touches, a lot of burn, a lot of minutes, a lot of opportunity to of course drop 10 points and 10 rebounds a game. And some nights have more than 3 blocks. I believe if the Lakers want interior defending at a high level, size, rebounding, but of course someone that can come off the bench that has starter potential, Whiteside is going to be available, a UFA, and I do believe after this season, a lot of teams are going to pursue him, and the Lakers are going to be one of them, no doubt about it. The next free agent on this list is one of my personal favorites, Otto Porter Jr. right now of the Golden State Warriors. I believe Otto Porter is one of the best targets and will fit perfectly as a small ball lineup big. Otto Porter right now is playing on the Golden State Warriors, playing their power forward and center position, but simply being a great two-way player. When Otto Porter came in the NBA 10 years ago, he was simply known to being a small forward that can score and be a decent defender. But as he developed into a leader and a more NBA experienced player, Otto Porter is simply a locked 3-and-D guy. He can space the floor, knock down 3-point shots at a high efficient clip, but also has the body, quickness, and athleticism to guard the other team's best players. Players like Giannis, Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, and even Paul George. With the Warriors getting Otto Porter for the veterans minimum deal last offseason, I believe it's a bang for the buck. And I believe the Lakers must use this example as something they should try to do and pursue in this upcoming offseason. Of course, I do believe the Warriors would try to do whatever they can to bring Otto Porter back, but with him being a UFA, anything is possible. And I believe on those lineups where LeBron James can play small forward and then put Otto Porter at the power forward with AD at center, I believe that is a great front court, small ball lineup that's going to be effective. As once again, I'm going to say it, Otto Porter is a 39% 3-point shooter, a great floor spacer at the power forward, small forward position. The last free agent I really want to suggest is Caleb Martin, one of the Martin twins. Of course, one of them is on the Hornets and one of them is on the Miami Heat. I'm talking about the Miami Heat, Caleb Martin. So far this season, Eric Spoelstra on the Heat is loving him and he's raising his stock in the NBA simply because he's there defensively, he's there offensively, and over the month of January and February, Caleb Martin has been averaging 11 points per game, 5 rebounds, 1 steal and 1 block a game. I believe after experimenting this season with more veteran players like of course Trevor Ariza, Carmelo Anthony, Kent Bazemore, these guys aren't going to work towards a championship roster. You need young guys to of course hustle, play the best basketball they could, and simply be a star in their role. And Caleb Martin is the perfect example of that. This season, he's turning 27 years old, so he's still young. He's entering his prime. But if you watch him play, you can tell his energy is there. He's focused and simply just wants to be a part of a winning culture. Caleb Martin isn't the most popular name and popular free agent out there, but I do believe after this season with the Heat, his stock is going to immediately increase. Hopefully the Lakers can do whatever they can to convince him to come to LA, to of course be more of a backup shooting guard, small forward, power forward player, to just play defense, put in the same role he played with the Miami Heat. But of course I do believe the Heat will do whatever they can to bring him back. So yes guys, this wraps up my video talking about the best free agents the Lakers should sign in this upcoming offseason. But I do want to add this to end off the video. I see it being a must that the Lakers must re-sign Malik Monk. This season, Malik Monk has been an absolute story for the Lakers. He stepped up offensively. The Lakers got him for a veterans minimum deal last offseason, but he's playing like a star. He's playing like a $20 million per game player. He's playing better than THT, Kendrick Nunn, who's getting paid better than him, and some could argue he's playing better than Russell Westbrook. So I do believe no matter what, getting Malik Monk back is the #1 priority in this upcoming offseason. He's going to be a free agent. He's going to be available. A lot of teams are going to target him. But Rob Pelinka, you cannot let him walk like you did with Alex Caruso. So yes guys, once again, this wraps up my video on free agents the Lakers should sign in this upcoming offseason. What's most important to me is I want to know your thoughts. Do you believe these free agents are good targets for the Lakers, or do you believe they should target somebody else? Put your thoughts down in the comments below. But other than that, take it easy, God bless, and I'll see you all next time on Easy Buckets. Woo!